All right. Welcome, everyone. We are glad that you're here. Tonight's session is Unlock the Full Power of Your Talents. We're going to be going over the strengths, the Clifton Strength Finder, and going through the WeAlign process. So let me see if this all works. Yay, technology is working. Presenters tonight, me, Coach Dale Young, and Pete. He's the other guy in the view there that you can see. Coach Dale and Coach Pete, we're both WeAlign executive coaches. We're both ACC certified with the International Coach Federation. We both have a lot of other stuff in common, including the fact that we're both reasonably tall. So there we go. And so we've been doing this for a little while. Pete's been doing the WeAlign a little bit longer than I have, but it's still a good thing. The agenda for tonight, we're going to go through the introduction to the Clifton Strengths, tell you all about that, how it got named to that, all that sort of thing. We're going to talk a little bit about the WeAlign process that is really a powerful process. I got certified in it because I saw the power of it. We're going to give you a sample of the coaching. I'm going to coach Pete. Pete's going to coach me. You'll see exactly what we can do through a typical coaching session through the WeAlign process. And then we'll talk about next steps and what we can do going forward. So Pete, over to you.
Okay, so a couple other notes before we jump in. Be sure to stay to the very end of this webinar because we have a super special discount. It's not going to be recorded. It's only for you because you attended live, so stay to the end. And as we mentioned, use that chat button. If you just joined, use that chat button at the bottom to type in any questions you have along the way. We'll have a dedicated question and answer period at the end. So you may have heard of StrengthsFinder, maybe not. It's been rebranded. It's now called, Gallup now calls it Gallup CliftonStrengths. They just last fall they rebranded, but the original name for many years was StrengthsFinder. This is the work of Dr. Donald Clifton, and he made this the major focus of his life starting back in the 50s as he was studying and developing this methodology. It's mainly based on something we call strengths theory. And in summary, what that means is if you develop areas where you happen to have natural talent, you will likely see exponential results. And if you try to develop areas where you lack natural talent, you're going to have limited results. At the time that this really took hold in corporate America and in modern psychology, this was a big shift. People used to say, if you're going to improve yourself, try to shore up your weaknesses. But now we found that really doesn't yield huge results. You should address your weaknesses, but if you invest in your practice, your knowledge, skill sets in your areas of natural talent, you're much more likely to have an impact and to accomplish the things that you're looking to do. So as he was developing this material, he's identified 34 different areas of talent. And he built this assessment to help any individual, after you take the results, you're going to get a listing of the 34 talents. Everyone gets the talents, but they're rank ordered specifically to you, number 1 being your strongest area, number 34 being your weakest. And so far, over 20 million people have taken this assessment. So it's statistically valid. And one of the things that's really unique, unlike DISC or Myers-Briggs or some of the other assessments, they try to kind of put you into a category, and it's more about predicting behavior. With StrengthsFinder, it's not trying to do that. It's just simply giving you a more specific understanding of your areas of talent that you happen to be stronger in. And the combination of those is unique to you. For instance, for anyone else to have the same top 5 talents as you in the same order is 1 in 33 million of a chance. So you really are unique. And on the next slide, so when you know your specific results, you're going to get a better sense of who you are and who you're not. Okay, you can resist that pressure sometimes to, conform or to do things that you just really drain you, they're really frustrating, you'll have a better understanding of that. You'll be able in your job or in your career, you'll be able to select better projects and areas that you want to go tackle for career advancement, because you'll know after getting these kinds of insights where you'll most likely do better. You're going to be more confident and resilient to criticism, because you can't criticize me for something that I just wasn't designed to do. It'll really help you. You're going to learn a language to help you communicate this more effectively to your peers and other people who know you and work with you. Finally, you're going to get some techniques and some strategies when you understand your areas where you're weak, to deal with those and to manage those, so that they don't limit you. They don't really take you out.
Right. Good summary there, Pete. And so this sheet is one of the sheets that you get when you go through the WeAlign process. It's customized for you. And then as you go through the coaching, you actually customize it further. But you provide the results of the full 34 Gallup CliftonStrengths to us, and we put them in domain order. That's what the color code is. And we put them in the domain, in the color code of the domain, and we put them in the same order, 1 to 34. Through the process, the WeAlign process, we visit all 34, and we lump those into 3 categories, the categories being signature, auxiliary, and non-pattern. Basically, the signature are those areas where you can get that exponential growth, exponential result through all the investment of time and effort that you put into it. The auxiliary are in the mid-range. They're the ones that you may be able to be pretty good at, but you don't get a lot of energy and you can't improve them very much. And then the non-patterns are basically just the ones that you don't have very much oomph behind. They're not really you. When I went through this process for me really clarified who I was. It clarified what I could go do and what I could do well. And it explained a lot of reasons why I could not do the things that I'd been attempting to do that were out of my strengths. So really did change a lot in my view.
Dale, if I could just pipe in, like a lot of people, maybe you're on this call and you maybe have taken the StrengthsFinder assessment. Maybe you read that book that we showed the cover. If you're like me, I took that, I think 7 years ago, wound up in my top shelf, never looked at it again. It kind of was insightful, but that was about it. After I went through the coaching process that Dale's going to unpack here, and we're going to explain how WeAlign does things, it completely changed things. And I became a big fan. I became a partner in WeAlign as a company. It was transformational, literally, in a lot of different ways. So, we're hoping if you have taken it, that you'll take a second look at it and consider coaching, because it really is it's night and day difference.
Absolutely. And I took the StrengthsFinder, ended up taking it like 5 or 6 times. And my top 5, which was the majority of what I got, tended to change quite a bit. Well, it found out later on that most of those times that top 5 was in the signature, but they had just changed order on me based on my growth and my circumstances and things like that. So great point there, Pete. So we're going to go through 2 different sample coaching sessions. I'm going to coach Pete on one of his signature strengths so that you can see the kind of depth that we go into on those. And then Pete's going to coach me on one of the non-pattern strengths, one of the ones where I struggle, that I'm not as good at. And so the reason for doing this is it gives you some ideas of how to deal with those non-pattern, deal with what really is a weakness in your life, especially if it's something you just have to do. You just can't avoid. So Pete, we're going to talk about individualization for you. What number is that for you?
This is my number 2 talent out of all 34. So it's way at the top.
Yeah. And we've got a blue aura there that says it's in the relating domain. And why don't you read that paragraph that's in the all caps to the right of the R?
Okay, so people exceptionally talented in the individualization theme are intrigued with the unique qualities of each person. They have a gift for figuring out how different people can work together productively.
So how does that resonate with you there, Pete?
It very, very much resonates with me.
Mhm.
I especially like that word intrigued. I'm fascinated by almost every person I meet. I just very quickly want to know, how do they tick? How are they wired? And how are they special?
Yeah, yeah. So as you scan through those bullets below the all caps and above the power and edge, what do those are there phrases in there that jump out at you as particularly applicable to you?
Okay. Patient with generalization. I don't like generalizations. Focus on differences for sure. They instinctively observe each person's style and motivation, how each thinks. And okay, I
Yeah.
love that word instinctively, because for me, the way this talent shows up, Dale, it's not like I go through this list in my head. It's just from the gut. I just get it really fast. It's instinctive. It's almost, I say I have a nose for it. I just can kind of sense it.
Yeah.
Keenly observe other people's strengths and draw out the best in each person. I love that part too, because the reason I'm so fascinated about this, especially if someone isn't aware of that they're special or unique, or they're suppressing it somehow. If I see a quality and I say, you really have a way with, I don't know, it could just be a way with words. And they take it for granted. I was like, not everyone has that. That's special. You should celebrate it. You should strengthen it. So I love to encourage people on that. So it's actually kind of weirdly scary, these bullets, because if I didn't say this, I would have told you about this myself anyway. And it's just
Yeah.
like laying it out there. And then the team thing, definitely in my work environments, in fact, I'm gonna get a little personal. There's someone on this call right now who worked with me 15 years ago. And when I interviewed her to join our company, I am not process oriented. And I knew this person was, and I knew I wanted to work with that person, because just very, very quickly sussed that out. Like, we need your process orientation, because I'm just kind of crazy all over the place. And it wound up being like a really, really good work relationship.
Great, great. Why don't you read that power and edge section there?
Okay, so people with strong individualization talents notice and appreciate the unique characteristics of each person and can customize their approach accordingly. Like a casting director, they can use their intelligence about people to position them to do what they do best. This creates a type of team synergy that leads to more enjoyable experience and increased effectiveness.
Mm-hmm. How's that hit you?
Definitely. Actually, Dale, to be honest, that's why I became a coach. It really is I liked doing that, and I wanted to do a lot more of it. And what I was finding in my existing jobs, it was like just a little too rare. It wasn't happening enough.
Yeah.
It just so energizes me. I was like, I want to do this full time if I can.
Right. So the section right below that's needs and motivations. And these are things that I read out to you, just little short phrases. So
Okay.
see how they land with you. Needs freedom to customize for others.
Yes, absolutely.
Needs freedom to help people find what they do best.
Yes. It's a little frustrating if someone's not open to it for me, but if they are, I'm just, kid in a candy shop if I can help.
Yeah. Needs time to treat people special.
Yep. Which, it's doesn't. I don't like broad brush strokes that treat everybody exactly the same. So, yep.
And needs to be appreciated and valued for your own uniqueness.
Yes, this is true. Yeah. This is true. This has been a theme really ever. I really remember it showing up when I was even in junior high, as when I was aware of like mass advertising and peer pressure. I just so reacted against it. I was like, no, everyone's different. You're trying to stick us all in the same bucket. And I just needed to be acknowledged. Like, I'm not trying to be different or weird. Just I'm not just like everyone else, and neither are you. Why are we treating everyone the same? Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone, that's a sample of the kind of coaching that we would go through. Now, we have a whole bunch of other supplemental tools. We have something called potential blind spots for each talent. We have raw and refined. That is basically phrases on if you have the talent, but it's not developed well yet, versus refined, which means you have developed it. We've got a document called The Genius and Beauty Found Within, and this is really powerful for people who have struggled to accept some of their talents and some of their strengths. We have a document on how to lead from each of the particular talents, and we have a document on applying talents in career discovery. So as we go through the WeAlign process, we use each of these documents as needed to help the person get to where they need to be in the coaching session. So Pete, I think it's your turn.
Okay, well, so Dale, it's my turn to coach, but it's your turn to be the client.
Oh, that's right.
And folks, what we're going to demonstrate here, these are compressed sessions. In an actual coaching session, if it's one of your signature strengths, we might spend about 20 minutes on really unpacking it. Using those other supplemental materials Dale mentioned. But this would be what we call non-pattern. This is somewhere near the bottom for Dale. Dale, what's number is focus?
This is 26 for me, so it's down there quite a ways.
Yeah, so it's the talent called focus, and it's got an E. That means it's in the execution theme. Mine was in the relationship building theme. This is in execution. Dale, why don't you read those top two sentences?
People exceptionally talented in the focus theme can take a direction, follow through, and make the corrections necessary to stay on track. They prioritize, then act.
Okay, Dale, how well do you feel that resonates with you?
You know, this is one that it seems like it fits sometimes, and it seems like it doesn't fit other times. So I'm just, particularly the first time going through this, I was totally confused on this one. So, and so, you know, what I've sensed and found through processing this is I can keep focus for a short term, but I can't keep it long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's really the power and edge of focus, is usually that longer term, and to keep a group keep moving in the right direction.
Right.
So, Dale, I guess one question I'd ask you then is, how has a lack of focus maybe gotten in the way of your effectiveness in the past?
So I think somehow maybe I was already compensating for it when I was in a corporate environment and I had a team and I could rely on other people. And when I went out solo in the Coach Dale process, what I found was that I did not keep consistent long-term focus to like build up mailing list and get, weekly updates out and, all those things that you got to do when you're starting a business just to keep things going, keep things moving. And what kind of balances that is for short-term projects, like for example, getting this webinar up and running, I could keep focus pretty well for a short term because I think I kept the goal in front of me well enough. But when the goal is further off and more long term, I just have a little bit more of a problem staying up with it. So.
Okay. Well, Dale, and actually everyone on the call, I'm going to give four. This is a powerful principles here. I'm going to give four things you can do. For strategies you can try to apply if you are finding you're lacking talent in an area and it's getting in the way of your effectiveness. And Dale, let's try them on and see if any of these can help you. The first strategy is just don't do it. Okay, if you find this is draining, it's not me, just give it up. So
yeah, that's not going to work with focus. I'm going to have to keep that long-term perspective going.
Okay, other ones it might work for, but not this. Okay, second strategy. Second strategy is try harder, meaning get some training, get some education, tips and tricks, and just try to brush up and try to build it up some.
And I've put some effort into that, and what I find is it turns out draining. It just, if I try and keep a focus too long, it just ends up I run out of energy. It just, I can't say it any other way. It just drains me.
Okay. All right. The third strategy is to find other people to team up with, either to delegate to or to bring them onto your team so you can borrow from their strength.
Right. I think that's one of the ways I was dealing with it when I was in corporate America, for sure. Is that I had people around me that could stay more focused and could provide more of those long-term plans. As a solo entrepreneur, it's a lot tougher, but I'm looking on ways to effectively collaborate and strategize and work with more of a larger virtual team, so to speak. And I'm looking for a good admin, good VA. So if anybody knows that, send them over to me.
Okay, the fourth strategy is to borrow from one of your other strengths to help supplement. So if you look at your signature strengths, what might be one that you could bend, so to speak, and kind of start to work like focus for you?
Well, one that comes to mind is number 2, responsibility, because that is, making sure that the job gets done. But I think another one might be number 6, which is futuristic. And, futuristic is all about being able to see visions of the future and things like that. And I don't know that I've done a whole lot real well in terms of taking that futuristic and kind of keeping it at the forefront to keep me focused towards where I'm going.
What do you think you could do to make it more visible on a regular basis?
Well, one thing might be write it down. One thing might be, I don't know, grab some clip art and keep it in front of me. One thing might be to maybe speak some inspiring visions, maybe some affirmations or something like that, and keep replaying those maybe on a daily basis or something. Put that into one of my other habits or something.
Great. So if you don't have a natural talent for focusing long-term on things, you could borrow your visions for the future, which you're real strong in. And if you can capture those and just revisit them, they'll start to act in a way to bring focus and narrow your priorities and remind you what you should be making your top priorities.
It's certainly worth trying.
All right. Awesome. Okay, folks. So that was a micro shot. What's a next step after this is Dale and I are, in 2 weeks, we're going to have another session. It's not going to be a webinar like this. It's going to be a group coaching session. It's live, interactive, a full hour. And if you join that, we are going to cover at least one of your signature talents. We're going to go into more depth. So everyone who signs up for that, we're going to actually coach as a group, and you're going to discover and unpack and unfold at least one of your signature talents. It might even be more than one. So write that down and reserve a spot. It's Thursday, May 9th. Going to be 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. So it's a full hour. Again, explore the full power of your talents. If you stay to the end of this webinar, it's coming up real soon. We're going to wrap up shortly. We're going to give you a super secret additional discount code. All right. Normally it's $89. Early bird registration is $59. Stay to the end, and we're going to, at the end of the webinar, we'll give you even a deeper discount, but to reward you guys. Okay, so here's the link, and let's see. Sam, you have that? Sam, can you post the link in the chat window? And there we go. So Sam, just go to the chat window, the icon down there. That's the link. You can click on that. If you register now, we'll explain it at the end of the actually what the special.
Absolutely. Let's move on. So
all right. Yep.
what's the questions here?
Yeah, let's see if we have some questions here. How do we take the Strengths Finder test to find a signature strength? That's great. So Tom, I put Dale, if you could pop back up to slide 4. Here's a URL. If you can go to Tom, and it is, if you want to write it down, GallupStrengthsCenter.com. Strengths plural. GallupStrengthsCenter.com. I'll tell you right now, it's $49 if you get the full 34. Make sure you get the full 34. The top 5, interesting, not going to give you a big picture. The full 34 is great. They updated this in the fall of last year, and the report is excellent now, and they cut the price. It used to be $90, so now it's like $49. I highly recommend it, and if you would like to get coached through the coaching process with WeAlign, you'll need to do that anyway. Okay? So that's Gallup Strengths Finder. Good question, Tom. Okay, other question.
Sam just put that link in the chat box if you want.
Okay, right. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for doing that. Okay, any other questions here? And we're just about done, but we wanted to make sure we can address it.
Looks like we're doing reasonably well on time.
Yeah,
we're pretty close to the bottom there. Maybe time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
Oh, great question, Doreen. When they updated it, did they grandfather the old users in with the updates? Yes. So if you've taken this in the past, your results are still in their database, and it's going to spit it out in a new report format. Again, if you only did and they also made it nice. If you only did the top 5, and it was like, I think $15, you only have to pay the difference up to the $49 if you already paid. So, so there you go. So yes, your grandfathered in. However, I would suggest if you haven't taken it in about 5 years or more that you retake it. Just because things shift around a little bit, you've matured, it's going to shuffle things a little bit, not in a huge way. Okay, Tom asks, hi, is the WeAlign coaching process an ongoing process, or is it more of a one and done type of a thing? Good question, Tom. And it's kind of a hybrid. It's a 5 and done type of a thing. So when WeAlign really unpacks the full process, we typically do 5 one-hour sessions, but it is bookended. Now, if you, through that process, find that there's other things in your life that you'd like coached on and would like to explore, you can certainly continue beyond that. But as far as unpacking the full Strengths Finder process, and you'll learn more about that, by the way, when we do the group coaching, we'll talk about that. But we'll do the first session, and we go real slow on your top strengths, and then we speed it up, and we hit all 34 strengths within some.
And you end up drawing those lines between your signature and auxiliary and between your auxiliary and non-pattern. And you draw them. They're drawn in pencil, so you can always go back and change them if it makes sense to you. But it's your results.
One other thing, I don't want to overhype this, but I do want to say we get just raving reviews from people, like words like transformational. And it's not just about your job. I mean, people find like, oh my gosh, this helped my marriage like crazy. I'm coaching a couple right now, both of them doing it at the same time. And the light bulbs are going on everywhere. Like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't try to change you. And wow, I have a new appreciation for this. This is something I used to take for granted. Really, not everybody thinks like this. Oh, wow, I didn't know that was so special. So really powerful stuff.
It really does help you embrace your uniqueness, the way that God wired you to be. So,
hey, I don't want to run real late, but we can take one more question here. Does the WeAlign put strengths in the 4 categories? Yes, Tom. Actually, I'll be fully transparent. Gallup puts those in. We make it a lot easier for you to see which categories they're in. Okay, so you'll get those categories when you take the Gallup test, but we make it a lot easier to understand the categories.
All right, so hang on, people. Let's get this final slide in. We just want to thank you.
Okay, I'm going to turn the recording off.
Go ahead. We want to thank you for